you got a tour guide here, this is ideal conditions for, we're in a basement on a weekend. The first thing you think of is, let's do a tour, baby. So it's tour time with Tom. Come on, let's go.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, yeah, that's right, baby. I used to do tours. Look at this freak. Oh, my God, I was pointing stuff out to people. Yeah, that's right. I'm zipping around town. Use this stuff on your dates and dabbing rat, baby. Let's do it. All right, so today we're going to be going over a neighborhood. It is a gorgeous neighborhood. Tons of beautiful housing stock, man. These gorgeous mansions even. So much, the kind of mansions that, these things are worth more than all of our collective lives. And trust me, I'll speak for myself, that ain't worth much. But not only that, though, it is a very diverse, I got a blue-collar background. It's got places like, huge Caribbean population, and also a lot of stuff going on today, and that is, it's not a hilly bush, it's a Flatbush, baby. So it's going to be a good one. This is a good one. Yeah, if you haven't been to Flatbush, you're missing out, but let's just get right into it, baby. Come on, here we go. So first thing some of you guys are wondering is, where the hell is that? All right, well then I'll go ahead and tell you. This right here is Prospect Park, right? It's right there to the southeast of Prospect Park. You see that? It's me pointing right there. Yeah, it's some pretty good graphics, right? Graphic design history, huh? How about that? I'm making graphic design history right now. That's Prospect Park, guys. I don't know if you guys have ever been. Round of applause if you've never been to Prospect Park. Wow. Losers, get out of here. No, I'm just kidding. You guys are missing out, man. Holy Lord, it's an amazing park right there. Very beautiful. Calvert Vaux, Frederick Law Olmsted, huh? You guys may know them. Yeah, very pretty park. You guys should check it out. Yeah, it's only one of the only rural things about Brooklyn, aside from all the Carhartt. But it's very nice. You should check it out. Before we start anything, the Canarsie Native Americans were the ones who kind of inhabited most of Brooklyn, along with some of the Rockaways. They moved around a lot. They used paths like Flatbush. They used paths like Northern Boulevard and Queens. These were major thoroughfares for them, and they moved around before the Dutch got there. You can actually see this map. This is a map that shows you all the different Native American groups, most of them at Lenape, under the Algonquin Nation, all over Long Island. You can hear their names, from the drunk 20-year-olds on the train. We're going to Massapequa. We're going to Ronkonkoma. Where are you guys going? Those are the tribes. And today these tribes are very, this dignified race is commemorated today with things like sports teams and one member of the village people. So unfortunately, that's really where it's at, but it is important to mention them because they were the original inhabitants. Okay, moving along. The Dutch get there. So Flatbush is one of the original 6 towns of Brooklyn. This is a very important thing. Brooklyn, the word Brooklyn actually refers to a village, one of the 6 villages of this end of Long Island. These were them from the 1600s. This is from when the Dutch were here, right? What ended up happening is Brooklyn became an incorporated village in the 18-teens, and then 1834 became a city, and it swallowed up all the other villages and became a big city by the time it consolidated with New York in 1898. That's right, when it's consolidated, it was a city. That's right, Brooklyn was the name of a newspaper. Brooklyn was the name of a baseball team. Brooklyn was the name and is the name of Victoria and David Beckham's child. So it's a very important place, a lot of pride, Okay, moving on. The Dutch are the ones who inhabit it, right? So you got here the Dutch Reformed Church still there. This thing dates back to the late 1700s. The actual parish dates back to the 1650s. Peter Stuyvesant himself helped actually set this up. You guys don't know who Peter Stuyvesant is? Ooh, baby, he's a peg-leg director of the Dutch West. I don't know why I did that. That's like, forget you saw that. All right, don't blog about me. He had a peg leg though. He's like a cartoon character, this guy, but he was very tenacious for what he lacked in a leg. He made up for in tenacity and anti-Semitism, unfortunately. But he was this guy. Look at this guy, huh? That is a commissioned picture if I've ever seen one. Holy Lord, man! This is like the original selfies back in the day. Like, give me my good light. Put a woman on my side. Another guy just begging me to help, and then the flag in the background. But that's what we have going to posterity. That's Peter Stuyvesant right there. All right, moving on. Flatbush, this is a very important thing to. So Flatbush, like most of Brooklyn, was a lot of farms. And in Brooklyn, especially in especially in Brooklyn, when you have farms, you have slavery, unfortunately. And Flatbush, unfortunately for everything, is probably the most slavery-filled of all the villages in Brooklyn. At one point, 74% of households in Flatbush had at least one enslaved person. 41% of the population was enslaved people. That's a pretty big bummer. I'm sorry. They actually had a burial ground here. This is actually where there's a slave burial ground right near the Dutch Reformed Church that was built over. And there's actually a movement right now to commemorate it. You can actually see they actually are trying to commemorate it in some way. And yes, this is all very sad. I understand that. So here's a picture of my cat. I don't know what to tell you. That's really... Yeah, she's got a little cone on her head right now. She's not too happy. I just keep reminding her, at least you're not a slave. So I guess we move on. All right, so here we go. Moving on. So late 1700s. This is, once again, all farmland, but some things started to happen. Late 1700s, 1786 specifically. You have the oldest school, secondary school, opened in Flatbush. It is still there. Kind of nuts. This is Erasmus Hall. This isn't the original building. There's actually an older building inside. You could see it's the little building. It's like a little museum now. This building was, the school, the funds were raised for it by none other than Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr. Both of them. Isn't that crazy? I found this picture of them together. That's all I could find. That's the only one I could find, unfortunately. Erasmus Hall, it's a very storied high school out there still in Flatbush. You're probably wondering, Tom, how'd you find out so much about this high school? Well, I just infiltrated the school by dressing up as a high school student. Look at that. Just fedoras and vapes, that's all they do, right? I'm pretty sure that's what the young people do. But a little more history about it. The cool kids, huh? Here's some of the history of the Erasmus High School. Some famous alum from Erasmus, Mae West. Mae West, that's right. It's not Kanye West's great aunt. Mae West is the woman. She was in tons of movies. She actually is famous for the phrase. She said the quote, "It's better to be looked over than overlooked." Huh? How about that? Good thing she wasn't alive during OnlyFans. Huh? How about that? She would have definitely been on there with that kind of quote. Another famous alumni, Babs and Neil Diamond. You guys know where this is going. You don't bring me flowers. Hey, that was pretty good. All right. That made it really sad, actually, when you guys did it. That's right. All right, we'll keep moving. All right, here we go. So these are some of the alumnuses. Okay, moving along. Right near the Dutch Reformed Church, you have some of the beautiful housing stock. This is Albemarle Terrace. Very pretty little houses here. You have this kind of little suburban kind of sprawl. It's actually owned back in the day by Vitagraph Studios, where they housed some of their movie stars who came here to film projects and stuff before it all moved out to L.A. Look at that. Vitagraph Studios, you may know as they were the studio that created the first stop motion picture in all history. You guys know it, of course. Say it out loud. Humpty Dumpty Circus, of course. Yeah, you guys all knew that. Humpty Dumpty Circus. I'm sure you guys have it on your Netflix queue. The next one is Kenmore Terrace, right next to it. Another pretty Garden City houses. Garden City houses. They're Garden City because you have, you have the driveway and Sirius is in the front, and in the back there's gardens. They all connected. This is a Garden City movement at the turn of the 20th century. That's right, baby. Party in the front. I'm sorry, business in the front, party in the back, baby. Look at that. They probably owe child support as well. Okay, here we go. Now, this is interesting too. Right nearby, to the west of Flatbush, is Prospect Park South. You have all of these gorgeous, like Victorian mansions and everything. You can just imagine a middle-aged woman on the porch saying, "What are you doing here? Do you know someone around here? Do you have business? Why do you have a camera? Yeah, there's cameras here, so okay, yeah, sure, all right." You could just imagine it. That's great. But anyways, very beautiful, very expensive place. And also, there's actually this guy named Thomas Ackerson bought up a lot of it and kind of paved it. He made also made very fancy names for the streets. Like this one, Argyle. Ooh. He named it after an outdated fashion style. It's right next to Visor Drive and Cargo Shorts Place. Isn't that great? All right, keep it moving. Here we go. There's a beautiful house there known as the Terra House because it kind of is similar to the Gone with the Wind house. You guys know the Gone with the Wind house. Famous person who lived here, Michelle Williams. Michelle Williams bought it up, made it nice and pretty and stuff. You guys know Michelle Williams from Dawson's Creek, huh? You guys know what's coming now? I don't want to wait for our lives to be over. I want to know right now, what will it be? All right, I wish I could go through the whole thing. Don't have time. All right, moving on. King's Theater on Flatbush Avenue. This is a gorgeous theater, 3,600 seats, was built there in 1920s. Now think about this. Back then, people actually went to the movies. Those of you guys who are too young, movies used to be these things that all of today's Marvel movies are based on. All those reboots you watch, the original ones were made in 1990s and 1980s. Those were films. This was made for films. 3,600 people would cram in there, watch movies. After that, and vaudeville and everything. Anyways, 1970s, it closed down. Now, a couple of interesting facts. One, the actual people who worked there, one of the people who worked there, Henry Winkler, worked as an usher. Isn't that crazy? He worked as an usher. You had the Fonz telling you how to get to your seat. He's like, let's see. It looks like you're in section A. Come on, that's good. All right. Also had another person who was a famous usher there, Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone was an usher at King's Theater. Are you kidding me? What the hell is that? Hey, it looks like you're in a section as a B. Hey, yo, parlay. We got someone over here. Okay, anyways, here we go. By the way, they are both in a movie called Lords of Flatbush. Now, have you ever seen this movie? Not very good, but you'll probably get another chance to watch it when it's remade with, I don't know, Kevin Hart and Glenn Powell. Who knows? Moving on, here we go. Post-World War II, here we're getting to some real stuff. This is where New York and cities generally changed a lot. One of the reasons. This is called the Great Migration. We actually talked about this at one of the shows here. Great Migration was a massive move of African Americans from the South to the Northeast, the Midwest, and the West. A lot of them came to New York City, obviously changed the makeup of cities, not just New York City as we know it. Another thing was white flight. Coinciding with this, you had white people leaving the cities for the suburbs. Highways are developed, suburbs are developed, etc. White flight is not the name of the Delta connector from Sweden to Finland. I'll tell you that. It was an actual thing that happened around this time, and you had the actual Hart-Celler Act passed in 1965. It was an immigration law that basically turned the tables and opened it up to groups that had been kind of neglected in the past, so Latin America as well as Asia, because at the time, 84% of immigrants in the United States were European. 84%, that's kind of wild. Now you think it's the complete opposite. It's because of this law. So the neighborhood changed, and around this time is when Flatbush got its influx of Caribbean people. You name the island, you name the Central American country even, they moved to Flatbush and made a huge community there. It is called the Little Caribbean. Pretty cool, right? This is more on the north end of Flatbush, and to the south end of Flatbush, you have Little Haiti. That's right, Little Haiti opened in the south of Flatbush here. It's very, so one of the reasons they moved there was because in the 1970s, you guys know this, all the way until like the 1980s, you had basically a dictatorship. From the 1950s, sorry, to the 1980s, you had a dictatorship. You had Papa Doc Duvalier and Baby Doc Duvalier. The two, there was father and son, you know? Some father and sons bond over playing catch, others bond over throwing people in prison, you know? Okay, who am I to judge? So people moved there from Haiti, and you know, it's still a huge kind of community there. You even have streets like this one, Jean-Jacques Dessalines Boulevard is a part of Rogers that is actually named after the first ruler of Haiti. He was the one who wrote their constitution, their Declaration of Independence. So very important figure. It was actually, interesting fact, hugely controversial when they named this street. In fact, Tucker Carlson, the famous Tucker Carlson, who's actually our next comedian, he actually made a huge stink about this because Dessalines actually killed a lot of French civilians after he took power, and you know, it was a big deal. So they were actually pushing back against this, but it was really, you know, it was a pretty much racist thing that he was doing. But it was interesting when it did happen. So moving on. Now the neighborhood is changing very much today. You can see things like this. This is one of the developments going up. It is important to keep in mind, though. There are groups in every single neighborhood that you can be a part of. So like, for example, for the Flatbush Development Corp is this big group of money, and they fund other groups like this. Flatbush Tennis Coalition. I know a few people work here, and it is a great group that pushes to help people stay in their homes. It pushes to keep people united, pushes to introduce people to each other. They're very important in every single neighborhood in New York has one of these groups. It's as easy as going on Google and just saying, oh, okay, well, what can I do in my neighborhood to help, or where can I volunteer? Something will pop up, and all you gotta do is show up, and they'll be happy to have you do whatever it is that you do. So this is just a little bit for you guys. You know, there you go. The more you know. You know? Okay, cool. But that being said, guys, I think Flatbush is an amazing neighborhood. It's got such an amazing mix of architecture, of people, of history. It's got a lot of stuff going on today, and we're a part of the history. That's another thing we can't forget. We're not talking about this stuff in past tense. It's all happening today, and it's going to continue to happen, and we got to be a part of it in a positive way. Otherwise, you know, things are going to go the direction they go. You know, we can't just wash our hands of it. So, you know, that's a little more you know there. You know, so there you go. All right, pretty cool. But that's Flatbush, guys. What do you think? Covered a lot. I don't know. We covered a good amount there.